So as you see, this video is covering, we're now into the trim finish stage, finishing insulation, putting the Formica on the cabin walls, putting the wood in the V-berth, finishing insulation and covering. That's just a shot of the wipe-on finish for the Aframosia wood. And then some more of the teak, putting the teak Formica onto the fridge area. What I did was I couldn't get the trim off on this fridge. This model doesn't have a removable trim ring. The other ones do. But what I did was I cut this Formica so it was like a little over an 1/8 inch wider, and I managed to get this squeezed in to this. Had to take these off and kind of spread this away so that this bottom piece would go up in and force it, because that's the latch right there. It latches into this metal. But that dressed the fridge up pretty nice with the Formica. Well, I've put some finish on, and so you can see how this system works. That's my Armaflex, my insulation. It's 3/8. My Formica is glued to the Armaflex, and boy, when that stuff sticks, when you get that adhesive on it, it don't come loose. That's because it's giving behind here. But it sticks. I'll put a little brown in there. But that's the system. The trim ring, this one here doesn't have it yet. And the screws go in that slotted area. This gets almost a flush trim ring here on this one, but this one was a little deeper because of the slides. So that's the trim ring, insulated wall. As soon as I get this wall done to right there, get the next trim ring on. That side over here is already cut. I just need to start gluing. And then I gotta run some electrical for my lighting. And then I start putting 1/4 inch plywood side to side. But pretty happy with the look there so far. All right, end of the day. This wall I already had the Formica cut, so it went fairly easy. All the trim is on. So once I get my wood on and things fit up to this seams, then I'll come back and do something with some kind of filler or whatnot. Seams are tight, they just show right now because there's nothing holding them. But the trim rings are on, and now I can start the process of the sealing. Pretty happy with the look. It's going to look good. This is coming together. I have my woodworking process set up, so I got my bandsaw out. So I'm ripping my Aframosia down. It's raw stock, so it's 2 inches wide, and I'm making strips that are 2 3/4, because that's what I'm going to fur out the inside of the V-berth with. So I'm making strips. They're 1/4 inch. They're a little over 1/4 inch so that I can sand them down and get a 1/4, and I'll run a little bull nose on them just to soften them at the seams. This is the part here, so you can see a very sharp corner. So that's just one coat of rub-on that, oh, what the heck is it? Urethane, durethane, mythane, Watco wipe-on poly finish. And it goes on easy and smooth. It's just a rag. So stripping, I got a couple boards up against the wall over there that I already cut one up. And so I've been buying this stuff in a 8/4. This one was 12 inches wide. The first one I started in was 14.5 inches wide. So I got quite a bit of product out of that one. So the process is I take that Aframosia and strip it 2 3/4 wide by 1/4 inch thick. And then these are 10, 11 inches on center. And so this is what it looks like. So I use stainless sheet metal screws, right, 1 inch long. So you can see that the bottom piece is cut at the bottom to match, because that's the concave curve. So these are laying straight because they won't bend and lay against everything. So I had to just find a sweet spot. I started one, went across straight. It doesn't look straight, but it's laying straight. And so at the bottom, I had to compensate by scribing, marking the concave part of the curve. And then, so the piece that I took off basically fit. I had to cut a little off of it, but that's the opposite side of that curve. This one up here is going to be easier, and it's going to have a different line because it starts to flatten out. This is really curved here. So luckily this piece here will break that up. It won't be as noticeable, but I'm going to try and match my line. But the weirdness is that curve still is there, and up at the top it starts to flatten out more. So I got the V-berth walls covered. And these corners will get a piece of trim going up them. It's time to start the plywood up above. So I'm showing just some of the insulation here, and that I put wiring in place. What you see is mounts that are covered, or mounting areas, aluminum. So this up front over my forward windows is where I put a special electrical access area. It's going to be where there's terminal strips developed. You'll see an arrow at it, and that's at the forward spot. Well, I wanted to show the progress on the ceiling. So the 1/4 inch underlayment, birch, So what I'm doing is drilling, and I have these wide flange rivets, and I think they are 1/2 inch long, and just pop riveting into the aluminum. So I'm drilling, of course, with a 3/16 bit, and then I built this wood bit with where I brazed a washer on it to give me my depth, so I can just barely countersink these things, so hopefully they're lower than the material. But it's coming together pretty good. I got my wiring in. I'm putting 3-inch pucks right over the dinette edge and another 3 right here. And then the one little wire way around the back is a red wire for the night lights, along with this one here, which is marked red. And they'll go over here with another puck light separate just for this entry here. And then I got little puck lights that are going in over my galley. I got 8 of these little small 2-inch LEDs, and then a red night light there, and another red night light will be down in here. So that's how we're doing there, but it's wearing my shoulders out, that is for sure. And this is my, I showed a little bit of it, but my terminal strip. I have a main ground, which is that negative bar. So I'm just gonna run a number 4 up to that. That way I don't have to carry all these negatives down to my main electrical panel. Everything will stop and terminate right there. Then I'll bring my separate feeds up to whatever I need, including the lights up above on the radar arch. And I got to get some cable for my windshield wiper motors. It's a 4-conductor. So I got to call the company, Imtra, and see if they sell a cable. I'm pretty sure they do. That way I can just run cables up and down all the way to my windshield wiper controls, because each one is on its own control. And then these are my heated windows. So they get a little control box on there, and I run a cable, and I'll run a cable over to this beam here. They are 300 watts. So it's my port, not the center, and then my starboard. So I got the electric in that one too. So that way I can just flip a switch and defrost these windows immediately. So down below, I got ceiling covered in here. This here is going to be just covered with a thin piece of finish wood. It's a chase, so I can run wires over. So I have some wiring that's going through up above here. And then in the corners there, you can see I have these little LED lights, and that's for the closets. I'm going to have some more of those. So that's hoping to get one more on today, and then it's off to work. Well, I got my 3rd sheet on, and that's where I'll be for a bit. But you can see I got my lighting over my dinette eating table. And once again, they're dimmable. It's lighting for when you're walking down in the the cubby sleeping area. So it's all riveted. Pretty quiet. I got a day's work just fitting and getting the last in.